Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Okay, so very quickly, I'll run through what are some of the events to take note of. Okay, and then after which, we'll jump into the charts, see some of the opportunities available, and talk about them. Right. So with that said, let's start off by looking at this week's event. So this week over here, we do have two major ones to be aware of. The first is the US CPI data. Okay, obviously that's gonna be important, right? Because moving forward, how aggressive the Fed is gonna cut rates, really also hinges on how inflation is, as it progresses. Okay, so this Wednesday evening, we do have the CPI data. Do take note of that. Okay, that might create some volatility in the dollar. And on Thursday evening, we do have the ECB press conference, as well as the monetary policy statement. Okay, so obviously that's also important, right? And very interesting here, you can see the market is actually expecting ECB to cut rates pretty significantly. From the current rate at 4.25, we are looking at a potential cut to 3.65. Okay, that's a rather significant expectation. Obviously, whether they're gonna cut it as much or not, if there's any sort of a deviation, that will also create potential volatility in the euro. Okay, so just bear that in mind. As long as you're looking at euro related instrument or the dollar related instruments, this week, this two event is something you want to pay attention. Okay. So with that said, I'll jump into the charts here to also kind of walk you through like what are some of the things to note in terms of like the overall direction and opportunities that you can look out for. Okay. First off, let's start off with the dollar index. Last Friday we have the NFP. A little bit of a short-term volatility over here, and then of course the follow-through is we did see the dollar strengthening post NFP. It was pretty much a mixed data. But of course, kind of like shared this a couple of times as well. A good data doesn't mean that the dollar is gonna go up, or vice versa. Bad news doesn't necessarily mean the dollar is gonna weaken, right? Okay. So again, we have a mixed data on Friday. The market actually make a push higher. So right now, in terms of dollar index, there are two potential scenarios that we can keep an eye on. First one here is that we're sticking to this as a 5-wave development. So there's wave 3, there's wave 4, of course. This is where the invalidation is. We will expect one more push down to break that low to complete the 5-wave structure, right? So that would be the primary view, but of course, the alternate count here is that this low has been established either as a wave 5 or a simple 3-wave structure to the downside, and then this can develop into a WXY. Okay, so that's an alternative as well. Okay, but right now I'm just sticking to the first scenario. As long as price is below 102.15, we'll be expecting one more push to the downside. Okay, so that's my primary view, but of course I also want you guys to be aware what is the alternative scenario. Okay, then of course that brings us to euro dollar here as well. Very kind of like similar in terms of the two scenario. One is that we'll look at upside, where of course this is wave 1 territory. Alternatively, here is that this is starting to do a deeper pullback in 3-wave. Okay, so I don't have any. I'm not really looking to buy around the zone, though. If you buy here, your invalidation here is a pretty tight stop for potential huge profits. But I think it's a little bit risky right now because there's a good chance this can just develop into a bigger 3-wave structure of a WXY. Then only maybe the move back up, right? So for that particular reason, I'm not just going to be looking to buy, though I'm open to keep track in terms of like how the euro dollar is gonna develop. I'm not gonna rush into that particular buy trade, on euro dollar itself. Okay, so that's my take. But GBP USD over here is looking pretty interesting. Okay, GBP USD here we have a very simple 3-wave structure. The market took out that high with momentum. Of course, that pullback here give me an opportunity to look to buy. Stop for me is just going to be around that 2950, 2945 kind of range. Of course, that also put us pretty much below that level, right? So this is a much cleaner buy setup as compared to the euro. Okay, so of course, given if the dollar is gonna weaken, there's a good chance euro dollar will also move higher. Given similar opportunity here, GBP USD will probably also move higher. I'll be more inclined to just focus on the trade here in terms of pound dollar. Okay, so that's my take. Okay, Aussie dollar probably a little bit more downside, but once it enters into this territory, we are expecting some sort of bounce. Okay, so sort of a first push up, three-way pullback, and then continuation back up. So short term, a little bit more downside, but we'll see. I'm not gonna be looking at the sell side of things from where we are right now. We'll just observe how price is gonna react and develop around that key zone, after which, okay. The dollar Canadian pretty much neutral here as well. There's a good possibility this is likely developing into a three-wave structure. Okay. Whether am I gonna be just looking to sell that around that 100% FIB? Of course, we also have some nice little confluence, to be honest. I will be a little bit cautious on that as well. I mean, it's a valid setup. Okay, something like that. Pretty much a inner move here. This looks pretty aggressive for now, right? So again, it's still early, right? Today is just Monday. We'll see how things develop moving forward, and then if let's say we're gonna see nicer kind of like pull back and then another push back up, then yeah, that would be a pretty solid trade opportunity, right? So again, it's just Monday. I think there's nothing much that we need to rush things through. Let's just wait and see. Dollar yen here potentially developing into a ending diagonal wave 5, right? So looking at this as wave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 internal, then the push up. Probably not so keen to be trading this little move, but if let's say we complete this here and then we start to give us an opportunity to look for the buy, I would be able to capitalize on that first, right? So that's a little bit more interesting for now. But this probably not gonna be within the week, so I'm leaving this out of it. Okay. Gold here, pretty clean in terms of structure here. You can see triple resistance, breakthrough, bounce out, bounce up. If it comes back and bounce again, that will be a decent opportunity to buy. I'm also looking at this from a structure 1, 2, 3. So that's the area to look into buying opportunities, and of course the stop is just below that 1618 extension. Okay, and of course the target is at the top here. Okay, to be honest, if you are able to hold this through, if let's say the market comes down and it starts going up, you may just do partial profits and then just leave some part of the position and see how far gold can go, because from a longer term perspective, I'm actually bullish on gold. Okay, same thing here in terms of silver. I'm currently in this trade as of this morning. A little bit of a double tap here, of course. 618. I'm looking at it from a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 simple pullback. So my invalidation is here, right? So as long as price is still above that low, I think the probability of this going higher is there. And with a simple projection of an equal leg, 1:1, that will put us around $31.40, right? Okay, so this is pretty much similar to gold as well, to be honest. From a bigger picture perspective, this three wave may have been completed, right? So we are trading sort of a sorry. Okay. Maybe I just use the trend line over here. Okay, we may be trading within this bigger structure that looks something like that. Okay, so I would take the opportunity to just consider buy trade as of right now. As long as price respect that low, then I think upside has a high odds of happening, right? so that's my take. Crude oil, nothing really much that you want to be paying too much attention. I think right now just wait and see how prices can develop. S&P did a pretty sharp drop last Friday. I'm just gonna be neutral right now, okay? Because right now, if this goes up correctively, we might fall into a bigger consolidation phase. If this does a strong bounce, some sort of something like that, then we may continue upside and break that high as well. So I just want to see how things is going to roll first before kind of committing. Okay, so S&P nothing there. The pound yen and odd yen, if you can get a pretty decent pullback correctively, that might be a sell opportunity, right? So you can see this breaks through. If you can get a pullback correctively, then that would be opportunity to sell. Okay, so you can see here, we managed to take out that. So yeah, same thing in odd yen, right? Same thing in odd yen, we managed to take out all this areas. So any sort of a corrective pullback would definitely give us the opportunity to look for a sell. All right. Pound Australia, neutral at the moment. Initially, I'm looking to sell this here, right? Expecting some sort of a push down. Okay, where this is 1, 2, 3. This is pretty corrective. But last Friday, okay, we get this impulsive move. Okay, so that impulsive move kind of potentially indicate that structure may have changed a little bit. Okay, we may actually start to see this as a low. Maybe this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then this would be the leg here. This is the pullback that's done, right? I mean, not the ideal situation, but you know, we just need to adapt. Okay, so right now, if we can get a corrective pullback, then I'll consider starting to look for the buy side of things, right? But for now, just neutral. Okay. Bitcoin here, nothing much as well. Very, very choppy. Definitely in a corrective pullback phase, right? But we want to wait for price to take out certain high. You know, then that will be a cleaner structure to take. But for now, just wait for that confirmation. Same thing here in Ethereum, a little bit of a double bottom. We want that impulsive break. Okay, and then only we look for the buy. Okay. Okay, so good. Emmanuel here says Kiwi Franc a clean setup. Kiwi Franc. Okay, yeah, if you look at it on the lower time frame, I think you might get a clean setup here to sell it, right? So you can see we have that break. Okay, we have that break. We have that impulsive leg to the downside as well. I think if you're talking about the sell setup here, probably you're looking at this pattern structure, right? Okay, of course, that will give you a very, very nice little confluence here as well. Okay, invalidation would definitely be there. Yeah, so on the 30-minute time frame, I think that's pretty clean as well for those of you into like Kiwi Franc, right? Okay, so if this kind of continue to pull back, that would give you that opportunity there. Okay, if you're looking at kind of like order flow, okay, that's where your fair value gap is. So the alternative way is to expect some sort of a deeper pullback, okay, towards the 71. And of course your stop, I mean, you can look to enter here, your stop put above there, or you know, you look to enter a little bit higher at 71 and you stop just above it. You can look to have that split of two position as well, right? So one of it just enter around that 50 mark, then the other one enters at the 71. Can plan accordingly, right? So there are like multiple ways that you can potentially get involved in the trade. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as it works out for you, that's great, right? The thing here is if you put it at 71 and the market just react off this, then you might miss the trade. Okay, if you look to enter at 71 and the market does give you the opportunity to enter, your risk reward is going to be more rewarding. Okay, it's always kind of like a balance, right? A give and take. Okay, yeah, so this is pretty neat. Thanks for bringing this up. Another one that I kind of scanned through a little bit, on the H4 time frame is actually the pound cat. Pretty neat opportunity here as well, right? In terms of like three-wave structure. Um, okay, let me just very quickly scan through a little bit and see what we have on the table. Right. The yen pairs are more or less the same anyway. Okay. Yeah. So those would be it. Okay, Euro cat. There's that opportunity in terms of like a pullback here, 50% mark. Not the most ideal, right? Probably not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So generally, if I kind of like the highlighted ones, they're here, right? What is this? Pound cats. Okay. Yeah. So my personal point of view is the main ones are the pound dollar, gold, and silver. Of course, pound cat here. I don't really look at it quite frequently, but I think the setup quite clean. Okay, definitely something to add into. And then in terms of like Kiwi franc here, it's more of like a shorter term, kind of like lower time frame opportunities, right? Yeah, I mean in terms of the overall context, is still definitely tradable. Okay, and of course, depending on how much you want to go for in terms of your target, okay, you can just aim for this 127 extension as a start. Right, so that would build you with a 35 pips and kind of like 1.5. If you're a little bit more aggressive, you can just string your stop loss to maybe about 25 pips, and then of course that builds in the better risk to reward ratio. Okay, yeah, so those are some things to look out for. Yeah, I mean the 15 and 6 one is around that zone too. Okay, yeah, yeah, so those are things from my side, okay? Hopefully they are clear. Hopefully today's session also give you some ideas in terms of like what to look out for. Okay? So yeah, that's all the best for this week's training. Until then, okay, see you guys in the next session. Okay, see you guys. Bye bye.